2155 Creator's Mark.
So, what are you going to do with that violet dream? Put me into an eternal slumber.
Yuan asked the woman, snapping her out of her daze.
You recognize this sword?
She muttered in a surprised tone, before quickly adding.
No, I shouldn't be surprised. This is a very famous sword, created by the legendary blacksmith, the exalted blacksmith, after all. Where'd you get it?
Yuan then asked.
That's none of your business. Instead of wasting your last few words on such questions, why don't you beg for your life instead? Beg for my life? I don't think I have done so in all my lives.
Yuan responded with a smile.
Lives?
The woman raised an eyebrow at his strange choice of words but dismissed it as a slip of the tongue.
Sister Chun, let's fight him together. He's far more powerful than he appears.
Zhuang Maojiang shouted as he finally returned after being sent flying into the distance. He could still feel his arms trembling from his clash with Yuan. Lady Chen then spoke.
Get him.
At her command, Zhuang Maojiang lunged at Yuan from behind as Lady Chen pressed in from the front. However, it didn't take long for them to realize that defeating Yuan wouldn't be easy, even when attacking together. They could not fathom how they were being held at bay by one bound to the golden immortal realm. Sometime later, as they were beginning to lose hope, Gu Ruyan and Lin Caney finally returned to their side.
What the fuck? That bastard is still alive. Gu Ruyan, you imbecile. You recklessly used the Rod of Destruction and didn't even kill your target.
Lin Caney shouted after seeing Yuan.
That's impossible.
Gu Ruyan exclaimed in a startled voice, sounding like he'd just witnessed a ghost.
I'm certain that the Rod of Destruction had attached to him. His presence even completely vanished after the explosion. Then are you trying to say that we're looking at a ghost right now? One's that's fighting Sister Chun and Zhuang Maojiang.
Lin Caney pointed at Yuan's figure in the distance. Gu Ruyan gritted his teeth and said.
I don't know how he managed to survive, but we can figure that out later. We need to help them first. That bastard is much stronger than his cultivation suggests.
Without any hesitation, the two of them joined the fight the very next moment.
Welcome back.
Yuan said to them.
What took you two idiots so long to come back?
Lady Chen reprimanded.
We had to make sure nobody saw the Rod of Destruction going off, so we took a slight detour.
Lin Caney explained.
Whatever. Let's hurry up and kill this bastard. The White Hell Frost Lotus is waiting for us.
And so, Yuan was forced to contend with all four God Ascension cultivators simultaneously. The injured woman, witnessing this, could only stare in stunned silence, her lips parted and her face awash with disbelief.
What's taking you so long to take care of a few pipsqueaks? Hurry up and kill them.
Zi Xian urged, her patience running thin.
Then why don't you remove some of the restrictions you have placed on the sword? I should be strong enough to handle more now.
Said Yuan, referring to the number one under heaven having its power limited by her due to his lack of cultivation.
I guess it's fine to loosen a few restrictions right now, but you are still far away from handling me at my full potential.
The next moment. Sword Spirit, Zi Xian, has removed a restriction placed upon number one under heaven. Number one under heaven has been updated. Unique ability, 5 when wielding number one under heaven, the wielder's sword aura efficiency and power are increased by 100,000%. Sometime later, when they still hadn't managed to defeat Yuan, Lady Chen shouted in frustration.
Restrict his movements for me.
To unleash Violet Dream's ability, she needed to land a direct hit, but so far, she hadn't even touched Yuan. At her command, the other three immediately charged at Yuan, intent on pinning him down so Lady Chen could strike. Yuan smiled at their attempts and said.
Even if you manage to land a hit, Violet Dream won't affect me. You're bluffing.
Lady Chen snapped.
You think so? Then go ahead.
Yuan suddenly ceased moving, spreading his arms wide in a defenseless stance as he beckoned her forward. Without hesitation, Lady Chen lunged forward and stabbed the Violet Dream directly in his chest, purposefully avoiding his heart so he wouldn't die immediately. After landing her strike, Lady Chen immediately tried to activate Violet Dream's ability. But her expression darkened when she realized it wasn't responding. Since number one under heaven was out, it had sealed Violet Dream's ability, turning it into an ordinary sword. However, even without number one under heaven, Violet Dream still wouldn't have any effect on Yuan.
Why isn't it working?
Lady Chen cried, violently shaking the sword as though she could force it awake.
It's useless.
Yuan suddenly said as he moved his arm and pointed at the Violet Dream before uttering.
Reveal yourself.
In the next instant, a glowing symbol surfaced on the sword's blade, radiating a divine aura.
This is...
Lady Chen's eyes widened in a daze as she stared at the golden symbol, unable to believe what she was seeing.
Isn't that the Creator's mark?
Gu Ruyan remarked, shock flashing across his face.
What? But isn't that something only its creator can reveal?
Lin Caney cried. A creator's mark is something blacksmiths embed within their creations as proof of authorship, serving both as a signature and a means of verifying the weapon's legitimacy. Although anyone could see the creator's mark on a treasure, only its creator could activate it.
Wait, if the mark has manifested at this moment, does that mean he's the creator?
Zhuang Maojiang questioned, his voice laced with confusion. Nobody answered his question, as they didn't want to believe the implications. After a long silence, Lady Chen slowly lifted her gaze from the sword to Yuan, who hovered before them with a cold smile.
Impossible.
She muttered. 2,156 barbarians.
That's impossible. You can't possibly be the exalted blacksmith.
Lady Chen shouted, her voice sharp enough to cut through the air.
I know. This sword must be a fake. It can't be the real Violet Dream.
Desperately, she created an excuse, however absurd it may be. To her, it was still more reasonable than accepting the notion that Yuan could be the exalted blacksmith.
You can believe whatever you want, but it won't change the fact that you're holding on to something that belongs to me.
Yuan said as he beckoned for the weapon.
Hand me the sword, and I will grant you a painless death. Refuse, and I will take it myself, along with your fingers, perhaps even your limbs.
Yuan said as his aura surged violently. Seeing this, the four of them tensed instantly, and Lady Chen quickly drew her rod of destruction. Yuan glanced at the rod in her grasp and smiled.
Have you already forgotten? Your companion tried that on me once before, but here I am, still alive. If one isn't enough, how about two?
Lin Caney barked, drawing his own rod of destruction.
I have one as well.
Zhuang Maojiang shouted, quickly brandishing his rod after the others. Seeing this, Gu Ruyan could only watch with clenched fists.
I'm flattered, but it doesn't matter how many of those you bring out. You won't kill me.
Yuan said with a calm smile.
Then prove it with your life.
Lady Chen snapped, spiritual energy surging as she poured it into the rod of destruction. When the other two noticed Lady Chen truly preparing to unleash the rod of destruction, they quickly funneled their spiritual energy into their own treasures. The smile on Yuan's face suddenly stiffened, his expression darkening.
So it was all a bluff. You're actually trembling in fear, aren't you?
Lady Chen laughed mockingly. In truth, Yuan had no concern for their rods of destruction, as such weapons were beneath his notice. His frown was born from something far more troubling. In the very next instant, several powerful presences emerged, surrounding them. Before the others could even react, many silhouettes materialized, encircling them completely.
What the? Who the hell are you?
Gu Ruyan shouted. Lady Chen opened her mouth to speak, but the words died in her throat as she realized that their encirclement was made entirely of God Ascension powerhouses. While the other four panicked, Yuan remained calm, his gaze sweeping over their encirclement. There were exactly 22 figures, each clad in crude garments of thick animal fur, their rugged features giving them the appearance of barbarians. As for these barbarians, their attention was focused on the rods of destruction in Lady Chen and the others' grasp.
What do you want from us?
Zhuang Maojiang stammered. One of the barbarians finally spoke, though his words weren't directed at him.
Is that the weapon you saw?
A calm, gentle voice echoed the next moment.
Yes, that is the weapon responsible for the explosion, the one that devastated much of our land.
The barbarian who had first spoken stepped forward, his voice carrying authority.
The 6 of you will come with us. Refuse, and you will die where you stand. Who the hell are you to tell us what to do? Do you even realize who we are? We are.
Lin Caney scoffed, his voice dripping with challenge. However, he never even got to finish his sentence, as the barbarian leader's arm blurred through the air, and in the next instant, Lin Caney's head was sent flying, severed cleanly from his body. Of course, as a God Ascension cultivator, losing his body did not mean losing his life. But the one who struck did not pause, and after severing Lin Caney's head, he extended his hand in a grasping motion toward the lingering soul. An immense pressure coiled around Lin Caney's soul, then crushed it without mercy. This was all done in an instant, faster than anyone could even blink, leaving the other 3 wide-eyed, trembling in shock and fear. Lin Caney's corpse began falling from the sky, but one of the barbarians went to retrieve it.
Anyone else have any objections?
The barbarian leader asked. Lady Chen and the others hastily shook their head in silence, too afraid to even speak. And so, Yuan and the others had no choice but to follow the barbarians deeper into White Hell. Of course, this included the injured woman.
What's happening?
She stuck close to Yuan and asked him.
We'll know in a bit.
He responded in a calm voice. He then glanced at her and asked.
How's your condition? Can you endure the cold?
The woman looked at the sun stone in her grasp for a moment before responding.
I'm fine for now, but I don't think my sunstone will last much longer.
Yuan then said.
Don't worry, nothing will happen to you. I promise to help you, so I will get you out of here safely. All right, by the way, I don't think I have introduced myself yet. My name is Yao Qin. Nice to meet you, Yao Qin.
Yuan smiled. Gu Ruyan and the other two were in utter disbelief. While they trembled at the thought of being kidnapped by these unknown barbarians, Yuan appeared completely at ease, almost as if their current predicament didn't exist at all, and he was just with a group of old pals. The barbarians, too, noticed his calm demeanor and grew curious. Within their ranks, one individual fixed their eyes on Yuan, watching him with far greater intensity than the others. Yuan noticed the intent gaze and boldly turned to confront it. Positioned at the very back of the formation was a figure wrapped in a great fur robe that concealed most of their features. Yet what could not be hidden were their eyes, clear, piercing blue, and as immaculate as untouched ice beneath a winter sky. Though he didn't recognize the individual, a strange sense of familiarity stirred within him. Suddenly, the image of a silhouette riding a massive mammoth, which he had glimpsed upon first entering the 7th region, surfaced in his mind. So you were that silhouette, huh? Yuan thought inwardly. 2157 Barbarians, 2. After several days of travel, the barbarians halted at the border of the 8th region, where a small settlement unexpectedly stood. Lady Chen and the others were stunned. None of them had believed it was possible for anyone to survive White Hell's extreme environment long enough to build a home there. Shortly after arriving, the barbarians gathered them together and stood around them in silence. After several long minutes of silence, Gu Ruyan finally gathered the courage to ask.
What are you going to do to us?
The barbarians turned their gazes on him, and the sheer weight of their eyes made him tremble with fear.
What do you think we're going to do?
A calm voice suddenly replied. Gu Ruyan and the others turned toward the sound, where a tall figure stepped out from one of the nearby buildings. She was a tall, muscular woman, her frame radiating dominance. From her surged an overwhelming aura, the unmistakable might of an expert at the 7th level of God Ascension. Following closely behind her was the barbarian who killed Lin Caney, as well as the individual riding the giant mammoth.
It's how should I know? You're the ones who kidnapped us, without a word of explanation.
Gu Ruyan finally replied.
Without explanation, you say?
The muscular woman lifted her arm, revealing the rod of destruction taken from Lin Caney's corpse.
Because of this little toy, you not only destroyed a large part of our territory, but also killed one of our people.
She said coldly.
No way.
Gu Ruyan muttered in a daze.
I didn't know there were people living inside White Hell, much less in the 7th region, hence why I decided to use it.
He said.
I don't care for your reasoning. It doesn't change the fact that one of our people is dead because of you. Wait just a second.
Lady Chen suddenly cut in.
He's the one who triggered that weapon and killed your people. Why drag all of us into this? You've already killed one of ours, so why not call it even? Call it even?
The barbarian snarled, her glare burning into Lady Chen.
Do you truly believe your lives are worth the same as ours? Even if we slaughtered every last one of you, it still wouldn't repay the loss of a single one of our people. That's unreasonable.
Zhuang Maojiang cried.
Unreasonable.
The barbarian retorted coldly.
I heard you were ready to unleash this weapon again before my people intervened. If not for them, even more of our land would have been reduced to ruin.
Yuan then spoke.
I understand why you'd want their lives, but what about me and her?
He gestured to Yao Qin, who was standing so close to him that she was essentially hugging his body with hers.
We're also their victims.
He continued. The barbarian sneered.
Victims or not, it doesn't change the fact that you're involved. If you hadn't started a fight with them, they wouldn't have needed to use the weapon in the first place.
Yuan sighed at her response.
Since you've clearly made up your mind, there's no point in arguing. So tell me, what do you intend to do with us for our crimes?
The barbarian's eyes narrowed.
Simply executing you would be far too easy. And besides, it would be a waste, as few ever venture this deep into White Hell.
A vicious smile curved across her lips as she continued.
Here's how it will be. Your men will serve as training dummies for our warriors, and your women will entertain them in other ways.
Lady Chen and Yao Qin's expressions turned grim at the barbarian's words.
I'd sooner die than become a toy for you savages.
Lady Chen shouted, drawing her rod of destruction.
You were fools not to strip us of our treasures.
The barbarian laughed.
We didn't take your treasures because we're not the least bit worried. I can kill you long before you even think of activating that weapon.
Lady Chen gritted her teeth, feeling powerless before these brutes.
If you kill us, our families will avenge us. They'll wipe out your insignificant clan.
Lady Chen shouted desperately. The barbarian sneered.
Do you know how long we've lived here? We know white hell like the back of our hands. Your families would die long before they even reach us. And even if a few survived, they'd never be able to pursue us through this place. That's.
Lady Chen faltered, unable to find her words, and fell silent. The others, too, sank into despair as the weight of their situation settled over them. Yuan alone remained calm, unshaken amidst the tension. At that moment, the cloaked figure who had been watching Yuan all along could no longer restrain their curiosity and slowly approached him. Standing before Yuan, the figure finally spoke.
Why aren't you afraid?
The voice was that of a young woman, clear and unassuming.
Should I be afraid?
Yuan replied with a calm smile. The figure glanced at the others, trembling in fear, before turning back to him.
Is it because of your body?
She asked.
My body? What are you talking about?
Yuan asked with his eyebrows slightly raised.
I noticed it the first time I saw you 20 years ago. Your body is different from the others.
She said. At her words, the surrounding barbarians narrowed their eyes at Yuan. They, too, could sense something unusual about him, though none could discern exactly what it was.
Now that you mention it.
The other female barbarian stepped forward, studying Yuan intently.
His body isn't being affected by white hell's environment at all. If anything, it looks as though it grows stronger with each passing moment. It's a bit similar to our own physique.
After a brief silence, she continued.
You know what? Rather than letting the others kill you, we'll study your body instead.
Yuan let out a faint sigh.
I couldn't care less what you do with those 3 idiots, but if you harm me or my friend, I'll be left with no choice but to slaughter everyone here in self-defense.
His sharp words rang in the barbarians' ears, instantly igniting their auras and filling the air with killing intent. 2158 Absolute Dragon Awakening. After a long, tense silence, the barbarian suddenly burst into laughter, her voice so powerful it rattled the air itself.
You'll slaughter us all? With what? Your pitiful cultivation base.
She mocked.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you're more than welcome to find out.
Yuan responded with a calm smile on his handsome face. The barbarian's grin vanished, replaced by a chilling frown.
I dislike you. Arrogant, weak, and oblivious. You don't even know when to hold your tongue.
Without giving Yuan a chance to respond, she lifted her arm high and struck. In the blink of an eye, his head was reduced to nothing.
Yuan.
Yao Qin cried, her eyes going wide with horror. How could it be? He had fallen so easily, when only moments ago his calm and confidence had seemed unshakable. Seeing this, Lady Chen muttered.
I knew he was bluffing this entire time. I should have killed him when I had the chance.
Strangely, even after his head had been annihilated, Yuan's body showed no sign of collapse. It stood tall and unwavering, exuding the eerie impression that he was still very much alive.
How unpleasant.
The barbarian clicked her tongue and reached for Yuan's body. Though she had destroyed his head, she had deliberately left the rest intact since she still intended to study his physique. What followed left the barbarian, and everyone else, frozen in shock. The headless corpse moved. Against all logic, it raised an arm and caught the barbarian's hand in an unyielding grip. Then, everyone watched as Yuan's destroyed head regenerated completely.
Heavens! It's a monster!
The barbarians cried out loud. Once Yuan's regeneration was finished, he calmly stared at the barbarian before him and said,
You'll need to do more than just destroy my head to kill me. What the hell are you?
The barbarian muttered in a low voice.
Is that how he survived the rod of destruction?
Gu Ruyan stared at Yuan in a daze. The barbarian yanked and twisted, trying to break away from Yuan's grip. But to her utter disbelief, she could not budge an inch. His grasp was immovable, heavy as if a mountain itself were shackled to her arm. What is happening? His raw strength. It's beyond comprehension, the barbarian cried inwardly, panic flashing in her eyes. While she was still caught in disbelief, Yuan pulled his other arm back and unleashed a devastating punch toward her face. Despite being lost in thought, the barbarian still managed to intercept Yuan's punch. But his strength was monstrous and beyond her comprehension. The instant their clash resounded, her body was wrenched from the ground, and before she even understood what had happened, she was sent crashing backward.
Chief Moo.
The other barbarians exclaimed in shock after seeing her being pushed back by a mere golden immortal. The female barbarian, Chief Moo, quickly steadied herself in midair, though the shock on her face lingered and refused to fade. After staring at Yuan in silence, excitement suddenly lit up Chief Moo's face. Her cultivation burst forth in the next instant, flooding the area with tyrannical pressure.
I don't care who or what you are. Survive 10 of my attacks, and I'll let you and your friend live.
She declared. Yuan's lips curved into a smile.
You better not go back on your word, or I'll kill you.
As Yuan stepped forward, he activated Absolute Dragon Awakening, the evolved form of true Dragon Awakening after consuming the Dragon Ancestor's blood essence. His aura soared skyward, surging to unimaginable heights. Compared to his former true Dragon Awakening, this new power was at least 100 times stronger. More astonishing still, his cultivation, which had stagnated at Golden Immortal, suddenly shattered its bottleneck, propelling him into true Immortal. Yet this advancement was not a true breakthrough but merely a temporary boost brought on by Absolute Dragon Awakening. For that reason, it could not be counted toward his quest. Chief Moo could scarcely believe what she was seeing, her features frozen in bewildered awe. And yet, instead of fear, a spark of exhilaration flared ever brighter in her eyes. Since his opponent was a 7th-level God Ascension powerhouse, Yuan couldn't afford to go easy. Not only did he use Absolute Dragon Awakening, but he also retrieved number 1 under heaven to fight Chief Moo. Though she stood at the 7th level of God Ascension, an expert nearing the peak of the cultivation world, Chief Moo didn't dare underestimate Yuan, despite him being merely an immortal. She summoned her weapon, a pair of axes gleaming with a chilling light, as though carved from pure ice. Gripping them firmly, she advanced to confront Yuan. With number 1 under heaven in hand, Yuan cloaked it in his supreme sword aura. Enhanced by its 5th unique ability, the aura sharpened to an unimaginable degree, so keen that even the slightest movement seemed to rend the fabric of space, leaving a visible scar in the air. In response, Chief Moo coated her axes with Supreme Axe Aura. Yet compared to Yuan's enhanced Supreme Sword Aura, hers was clearly inferior. To bridge the gap, she infused her weapons with Celestial Chi. When they clashed a split second later, their weapon auras erupted outward, tearing countless slits through the surrounding space and exposing the ominous void beyond. Yet, in the next breath, the wounds in reality swiftly mended themselves.
That's 1.
Yuan said.
I can see why you're so damn arrogant, but you still have to survive 9 more strikes.
Chief Moo exclaimed as she prepared her second strike. Meanwhile, Gu Ruyan and the others could only watch in stunned disbelief.
We've been fighting a monster like that this whole time.
Lady Chen murmured in a daze.
Impossible. How can an outsider wield such power?
Gu Ruyan collapsed to his knees in despair. Yao Qin remained silent, yet the astonishment in her eyes spoke louder than words. The barbarian wrapped in fur robes narrowed her eyes on Yuan, seemingly in deep thought. Moments later, Chief Moo unleashed her second strike, and Yuan confronted it with a smile. 21-59-10 strikes from Chief Moo. Chief Moo's second strike carried even greater force than her first. When it collided with Yuan's, the clash of their weapon auras unleashed a ripple that cleaved every mountain within 1,000 miles cleanly in half. After using her second strike and seeing Yuan emerge completely unscathed, Chief Moo understood that ordinary attacks would not be able to defeat a monster like him. On her third strike, Chief Moo gathered her spiritual energy and prepared to launch a martial technique.
Glacial Roar.
Chief Moo smashed her axes together, sending millions of tiny ice shards in Yuan's direction. Despite their small size, each of these shards was powerful enough to kill immortals. Yet, Yuan didn't even bother blocking them, merely using his physique to endure them. Your cold resistance has improved greatly.
Heavens! He used nothing but his body to block Chief Moo's Glacial Roar. I've never seen anything like that before.
The barbarian stared in astonishment. Realizing that spiritual energy had no effect on Yuan, Chief Moo immediately shifted to using immortal chi. Though she was capable of wielding celestial chi with ease, she held back, as she was enjoying their battle too much to end it quickly. For her fourth strike, Chief Moo raised her axes high. In the next instant, they swelled to the size of mountains before crashing down toward Yuan's figure, tiny and ant-like in comparison. In response, Yuan activated number 1 under Heaven's third ability, increasing the size of his sword to match Chief Moo's axes. Whoosh! Their clash unleashed a ripple of force so immense that every trace of snow in the surrounding land was erased in an instant. At the point of collision, space itself fractured once more, dark cracks spreading wide, and unlike before, the damage lingered, struggling to mend. Once again, Yuan endured her attack without any injuries. Just how many tricks does this monster have up his sleeves? Chief Moo cried inwardly as she prepared her fifth strike. For her fifth, sixth, and seventh strikes, Chief Moo continued to wield immortal chi, each time pouring in drastically more than before, and every single clash resulted in the space around them breaking. After their seventh clash, the skies above White Hell darkened over Yuan's battlefield, as though the heavens were warning them to cease or suffer its wrath.
Look at the sky. It suddenly turned dark.
One of the barbarians exclaimed.
You're right, but why? It's not even close to nightfall, and it feels unnatural. Heaven's wrath.
Gu Rian muttered in a daze.
If they continue, they will have to face heaven's judgment.
Their clash had reached such terrifying heights that even the heavens stirred, fearing the disastrous destruction that would follow if it were allowed to continue. Chief Moo glanced at the dark clouds for a brief moment before disregarding them. As for Yuan, he didn't even spare it a glance, his gaze and focus remaining on Chief Moo like a predator locked onto its prey. Chief Moo sneered after seeing Yuan's calm demeanor and said,
All right, enough playing around. I'll get serious now.
After saying that, celestial chi surged within her body.
Thank God. I was beginning to think that was all you had as a 7th-level god ascension powerhouse.
Yuan said sarcastically.
I suppose it's only fair I get serious too.
As his words fell, Yuan's aura erupted violently, so fierce it momentarily split apart the dark clouds above.
He wasn't going all out this entire time.
Zhuang Maojiang exclaimed in a terrified voice.
What an ominous aura he has. Is he even human?
The barbarian subconsciously stepped back after sensing Yuan's chaotic essence. However, Yuan wasn't done yet. The very next moment, celestial chi began gathering around his body, boosting his aura even more.
You can use celestial chi?
Chief Moo couldn't contain her surprise and cried out loud.
It's only celestial chi. What are you so surprised about?
Yuan calmly responded.
There's no way he's using celestial chi as a golden immortal. He must be hiding his true cultivation. It's no wonder he could match Chief Moo. Everything makes sense now.
The barbarian said, convinced that Yuan was just suppressing his cultivation.
No, that's his real cultivation.
The barbarian wrapped in fur robes remarked.
What? How is that possible?
The barbarians looked at her with puzzled faces.
If he's really just an immortal, how is his body able to endure it?
She opened her mouth only to instantly close it back up before silently shaking her head, as she was just as puzzled as the rest of them. Suddenly, another voice rang out.
Even Häufning physique. That's how he's doing it.
At those words, everyone turned in shock. An old woman had appeared among them without a sound, as if she were a ghost.
Gegrandemu.
The barbarian stared at her with wide eyes.
Grandmother, what are you doing here? Weren't you in seclusion?
The fur-robed barbarian asked. Granny Moo glanced at Yuan and Chief Moo before replying.
With this kind of commotion, who could possibly concentrate? If I force myself to continue, I'd only end up injured.
Lady Chen and the others swallowed nervously at the old woman's presence. Though no aura radiated from her, they could tell she was anything but ordinary, perhaps even stronger than Chief Moo herself.
By the way, what was it you just mentioned? Even Häufning physique.
The fur-robed barbarian continued to ask. Granny Moo stared at Yuan's figure for a moment before responding.
It's a one-of-a-kind physique, so only one of them can exist at any given time. The last person to possess it stood uncontested at the peak of the cultivation world. To be honest, even I do not know its full capabilities, but I can say this much. Back then, its wielder was unrivaled. In that case, shouldn't we stop my mother before she kills him? It'd be such a waste to kill someone with such a rare and powerful physique.
Granny Moo burst out laughing at her words and quickly said.
If he's who I think he is, your mother won't be able to kill him.
The barbarians stared at her with their eyes filled with disbelief, wondering if she knew Yuan. 2160 Granny Moo. Hearing such words, the fur-robed barbarian asked what was on everyone's mind.
Grandmother, you know him? Hard to say.
She calmly responded.
He looks exactly like someone I once knew, but his cultivation is much lower, and there's something different about him. That said, the one I knew disappeared millions of years ago, but with his cultivation I wouldn't be surprised if he is still alive. Is this person the same one you would constantly reminisce about to Mother and me?
The fur-robed barbarian asked. Granny Moo responded with a silent nod of her head. In the next instant, Chief Moo delivered her 8th blow, merging her martial technique with celestial chi to unleash a strike of devastating force. Yuan, however, met it head-on, unflinching. An exhilarated smile spread across his face. It had been ages since he'd been able to fight with his full strength, and the thrill of it set his blood ablaze. Right before the clash, Granny Moo released her celestial chi, enveloping the barbarian settlement to shield it from the impending blast. Just as Granny Moo raised the barrier, a violent ripple tore through the land. Everything within 10,000 miles was erased, save for what her protection covered. Their clash not only reshaped White Hell's landscape but also left behind a massive crater. However, moments after the cataclysm, the broken terrain began to mend on its own. This was no miracle, but a natural occurrence in places where spiritual energy condensed so heavily that even the land restored itself, some faster than others, depending on the area. After the clash, Yuan slowly wiped his face with his hand, only to see a faint smear of blood. It was the first time he had been injured, but the wound was nothing more than a shallow cut, so insignificant it barely counted as an injury at all. He turned to Chief Moo, who looked unscathed. Though her body bore no wounds, the shock of Yuan's unfathomable existence had damaged her mind. Meanwhile, the dark clouds above swelled outward, their shade deepening into an even heavier darkness.
Maybe we should have taken this fight somewhere else, a place where we cannot be disturbed.
Chief Moo spoke as she looked at the dark clouds with a slight frown on her face. Yuan smiled and said,
What are you scared of? It's just some dark clouds. It'll go away sooner or later.
Chief Moo narrowed her eyes.
Just some dark clouds? Don't tell me you've never faced a heavenly tribulation before. On the contrary,
Yuan replied calmly.
I've experienced them several times.
Chief Moo wasn't surprised to hear that Yuan had already experienced several heavenly tribulations because of how heaven-defying his existence was.
Anyway, enough yapping and give me your 9th strike.
Yuan said a moment later.
I don't have too much time to waste here.
Chief Moo's eyebrows twitched, and she spoke in an annoyed tone.
You're so certain that you will endure all 10 of my strikes, huh? Unfortunately for you, that won't happen.
Suddenly, Chief Moo released a chilling aura that made Yuan's skin crawl. This cold was unlike the frigid air of White Hell, it was something else, something otherworldly. Your cold resistance has drastically increased. Yuan blinked in surprise at the notification. Chief Moo's chilling aura was so intense that merely standing near her gave him the same result as enduring the 7th region of White Hell. Is this the secret to how they can live within White Hell? He wondered inwardly, his curiosity piqued. Chief Moo then spoke with a confident smile on her face.
Forget about the 10th strike. If you survive this 9th attack, I'll consider it your win.
Yuan nodded.
If you say so.
This time, Chief Moo took her time preparing for the next strike. Her cold aura steadily intensified, soon surpassing even the 7th region's frost. It grew so dense and concentrated that it condensed into a semi-transparent armor around her body. Yuan briefly considered taking the attack head-on to temper his body, but quickly dismissed the thought. The cold radiating from her felt potent enough to freeze even his soul. Realizing what Chief Moo was trying to do, Granny Moo hastily said to the others.
Get as far away as you can from here.
Without hesitation, all of the barbarians turned to flee in the opposite direction from the battlefield.
Wait. What about us?
Lady Chen exclaimed.
And who the hell are you?
Granny Moo looked at them with raised eyebrows. The fur-robed barbarian proceeded to explain their situation to her.
I see. Then you will remain where you stand. If you can survive the aftermath, I may consider letting you go.
Granny Moo said, a cold smile curling her lips.
No way.
Lady Chen and the others collapsed to their knees, their eyes fixed on Yuan and Chief Moo. As Chief Moo's aura swelled in preparation for her 9th strike, Yuan braced himself. His chaotic essence surged to its fullest, and he summoned forth the true primordial fire. Flames of primordial origin erupted around him, engulfing his figure until he stood encased in an infernal armor, radiating heat that defied the very cold closing in on him. On top of that, Yuan brought out all of his treasures, such as the robes of destruction and the Soul Emperor's crown, treasures he had decided to wear only when he was fighting in earnest. After all, Yuan was already overwhelmingly strong without relying on treasures. If he wore them all the time, he would feel no excitement in battle, and worse, it would only hinder his training. Gu Ruyan and the others stared in disbelief, mouths agape, as Yuan covered himself in treasures of immense power. Until this moment, they had been certain he was already fighting with the aid of treasures to overcome their differences in cultivation, but seeing him summon them now proved how wrong they had been. As though the treasures weren't enough, Yuan also activated God of War's astral arts, wrapping himself in yet another layer of protection. Chief Moo also completed her preparations at the same time. She looked at Yuan and muttered.
Oh, it was brief. I had fun. Unfortunately, it's time for you to die now.
Congratulations, you have finished listening to the current content. 2161 White Hell Barbarian Tribe.
It's time for me to die.
Yuan spoke with a smile on his face.
Who are you to decide when I die? Chief of the White Hell Barbarian Tribe, a 7th-level god ascension cultivator. That's who I am.
Chief Moo calmly responded, her aura continuously increasing with every passing moment.
Then allow me to apologize in advance, since I will be disappointing you. Arrogant, even the last few moments of your life. Huh.
Chief Moo sneered.
And you continue to underestimate me, even after all this time? That will be your downfall. Enough talking. You can die now.
Chief Moo's aura abruptly stilled for a heartbeat before erupting outward like a nuke. In the same instant, she shot forward like a meteor, her voice ringing out.
Shiva's glacial sunder.
Yuan's smile vanished, replaced by a grave expression as his aura shifted, becoming something entirely otherworldly.
Ah, it's truly him.
Granny Moo fell to her knees after sensing this otherworldly aura coming from Yuan. A portion of Yuan's aura suddenly turned golden before wrapping itself around number 1 under heaven. The golden aura radiated such unfathomable might that Chief Moo's heart trembled, a primal sense of danger gnawing at her soul to escape. But the moment had already passed, and there was no turning back now. Wreathed in a golden aura, Yuan swung number 1 under heaven, releasing a single golden sword arc forged from Supreme Sword Aura and something otherworldly. Not only was his Supreme Sword Aura enhanced by number 1 under heaven's ability, but the golden aura strengthened it even further, and it flew toward Chief Moo with unstoppable force. Chief Moo gritted her teeth and swung her axe, unleashing all the energy she had gathered. It erupted like a massive fireball, yet it was white, and so cold that it froze the very space around it, leaving a trail of ice in its wake. Chief Moo braced for their energies to explode on impact, but to her shock, Yuan's Supreme Sword Aura cleaved straight through her attack and passed on, severing both of her arms in a single stroke. Once cleaved apart, the condensed energy of Chief Moo's attack lost all control and erupted, unleashing a catastrophic explosion that instantly consumed and froze half of White Hell, the frost spreading as far as the 4th region. Right before the explosion occurred, Granny Moo shielded the fur-robbed barbarian behind her, as well as Yao Qin. As for Gu Ruyan and the other two, they hastily retrieved all of the life-saving treasures from their spatial ring and activated them without hesitation. For several minutes, White Hell, the coldest place in the 9 heavens, froze in its entirety for the first time. Not only the mountains and land, but even the air and space themselves turned to ice. From the outside, White Hell appeared as nothing more than a colossal block of frozen crystal. Of course, this frozen state didn't last for long, and within minutes, it began to melt. Your cold resistance has improved drastically. Your skill, Ice Harmony, has developed into true Ice Harmony. Yuan, who was the closest to the explosion, had managed to upgrade his Ice Harmony to the next level within those few minutes, a testament to how powerful Chief Moo's attack was. When the ice finally melted and White Hell returned to normal, Chief Moo stared at Yuan in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just transpired.
He cut through my most powerful attack, and he is still alive after eating that much energy? There's no way.
She muttered in a daze. Though Yuan had survived Chief Moo's martial technique, the effort drained him so greatly that he lost control of his body and plummeted from the sky. Though consciousness never left him, and his exhausted body regenerated almost instantly, Yuan could not move a muscle. His paralysis stemmed not from the exhaustion but from the crushing burden of the golden aura he had dared to wield. Indeed, Yuan had managed to invoke heaven's supremacy without fully completing his quest, though he could only summon enough of its power to enhance his supreme sword aura once. Looks like I managed to use heavenly supremacy, even if only a little, Yuan thought with an inward smile, satisfied with the result. More importantly, he realized something, that he didn't need to complete the quest to wield it. After all, would he truly be worthy of heaven's supremacy if he relied on the system to wield it? Just as Yuan was about to crash into the ground, a gentle energy wrapped around him, slowing his descent and placing his paralyzed body softly upon the earth. Of course, even without the aid, a simple fall would not have harmed him, as his physique was strong enough to withstand even powerful treasures. Granny Moo walked up to the motionless Yuan, looked down at him, and said,
You're still as crazy as ever, aren't you?
Though he was unable to move his body, Yuan was able to make facial expressions and move his lips. He raised an eyebrow and asked as he stared at Granny Moo's unfamiliar face.
Who are you? HM? You don't remember me?
Granny Moo said. She continued.
I guess my appearance has changed a lot since we last met. Mu Hanyin, does that name ring any bells for you? Sorry, it doesn't.
Granny Moo narrowed her eyes slightly, and she began doubting whether Yuan was truly the one she knew. That feeling his golden aura emitted, there's no mistaking it, but what if someone else besides him could use it? After a moment of silence, Granny Moo asked.
What is your name? Yuan. Are you sure it's not Tianingxia?
she asked with a skeptical gaze. Yuan's eyes widened slightly upon hearing this familiar name. Granny Moo could tell that Yuan recognized the name but didn't say anything and patiently waited for his response. However, before he could do so, Chief Moo descended from the sky and landed right before him.
What the hell was that golden aura?
She shouted as she wrapped her spiritual energy around him and pulled him off the ground. 2162 Let them go.
Does it really matter what it was? I survived your 9 strikes, so I win our little game.
Yuan responded with a calm smile on his face.
I'm gonna kill you, you damn freak.
Chief Moo angrily shouted, but she was not emitting any killing intent.
That's enough.
Granny Moo suddenly said.
Put him down. Ashu, mother? How long have you been there?
Chief Moo was startled to see Granny Moo. She had been so focused on Yuan that she didn't even realize Granny Moo's presence.
Long enough to watch the entire thing. You've lost spectacularly, my foolish daughter. That's.
Chief Moo cut herself off, grinding her teeth in frustration. Never had she imagined being unable to kill a mere immortal even after exerting her full might. Though the 9 heavens greatly restricted her power, the gap in their cultivation should have allowed her to win with ease, and this humiliation would surely linger and haunt her forever. After a moment of silence, Chief Moo released Yuan. She intended to drop him onto the ground like trash, but Granny Moo prevented his fall a second time with her spiritual energy.
Why are you being so gentle with him? He won't die even if you crush him with a mountain.
Chief Moo couldn't help but ask, a slight frown on her face. Granny Moo ignored her and asked Yuan again.
Are you sure your name isn't Tianningjia? It's a bit complicated.
Yuan responded.
So you are Tianningjia,
she said in a confident tone.
Since you don't remember me, you must have amnesia. Something like that.
Granny Moo sighed.
To think that after millions of years, our reunion would be in such a fashion. Wait, you know him?
Chief Moo asked, her eyes widening.
Edo, but you've no time to worry about my affairs.
Granny Moo replied, tilting her gaze toward the heavens. The dark clouds their clash had scattered had already gathered once more, this time, heavier and angrier than before.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Chief Moo sighed. As a 7th-level God Ascension cultivator, Chief Moo normally wouldn't worry about this level of heaven's judgment. However, she had exhausted most of her energy trying to kill Yuan, and she'd even lost both of her arms.
I'll deal with it.
Yuan suddenly said.
What? How the hell are you going to do that when you can't even move?
Chief Moo said while glaring at him. Yuan looked at Granny Moo and said.
You can put me down now. I have recovered enough to move my body.
After Granny Moo set him down, Yuan soared into the sky, heading straight for the rumbling black clouds.
We both know you can't harm me,
he said, his mocking smile fixed on the heavens.
So stop delaying and get this over with.
The heavens roared in fury. In the very next instant, judgment descended, not a single bolt, but 2. One bore down on Yuan as his rightful punishment. The other, meant for Chief Moo, veered unnaturally, drawn into Yuan's body as though he had seized her punishment for himself. Naturally, heaven's judgment had no effect on Yuan. If anything, it only tempered his body further. What's more, since one of the strikes had been meant for Chief Moo, a 7th-level God Ascension cultivator, it carried far greater power than his own judgment.
Ha ha ha, that's it. Keep up the good work.
Yuan laughed out loud.
That's insane. He not only possesses ice harmony, but also a heavenly physique that can withstand heaven's judgment.
Chief Moo muttered, swallowing nervously. Even at her peak, uninjured and with her full energy, she would not be able to face heaven's judgment as effortlessly as Yuan. A few minutes later, the judgment ceased, and the dark clouds scattered almost instantly as the lightning subsided. Once heaven's judgment ended and Yuan returned to the ground, he looked at Chief Moo and spoke.
So, as promised, you'll let me and my friend live, right?
Chief Moo sneered.
Whatever.
Although she didn't want to admit it, she realized that she wouldn't be able to kill Yuan even if she wanted to.
What about them?
Yuan suddenly turned to look at Gu Ruyan and the others. Yao Qin was completely unhindered thanks to Granny Moo, but the other 3 had also somehow managed to survive barely with the help of their life-saving treasures. Before Chief Moo could respond, Granny Moo said.
I said that I would consider letting them go if they could survive the aftermath. What? But they killed one of our people. You can't let them go.
Chief Moo exclaimed. Granny Moo turned to look at Yuan and asked him.
What do you think? Should I let them go, or... Please. Let us go.
Lady Chen cried.
I swear I'll never trouble you again. Me too.
The other 2 also shouted. Yuan's lips curved into a gentle smile as he said.
Let them go. What? You can't be serious.
Chief Moo stared at him in disbelief.
If you say so.
Granny Moo replied with a calm nod. But before Gu Ruyan and the others could breathe a sigh of relief, Yuan continued, his smile turning colder.
After all, I want to kill them with my own hands. What?
Without another word, Yuan charged at them. Gu Ruyan and the other two hastily readied themselves to face Yuan. But Yuan no longer toyed with them, and he fought as though he was still battling Chief Moo. The three resisted with all they had, yet before Yuan's overwhelming power, they were utterly helpless. In just a few moments, Yuan had destroyed all three of their physical bodies and seized their souls.
Please, spare us.
Gu Ruyan cried.
Have mercy.
Zhuang Maojiang shouted.
I will do anything you want. I will be your slave, or whatever. Just let me live.
Lady Chen pleaded. However, Yuan ignored them and struck their souls with his supreme sword aura, instantly cutting their souls in half and killing them for good.
As ruthless as ever.
Granny Moo said with a smile. 2163 Mu Hanyan. While Yuan dealt with Gu Ruyan and the others, Chief Moo consumed a recovery pill that restored her severed arms and exhausted energy. Unfortunately, there was no pill that could erase the humiliation she felt from losing to Yuan, nor was there anything she could do about it since she had already given him her word that she wouldn't touch him if he won, not to mention her mother seemed to know him. Chief Moo may be the leader of the White Hell Barbarian tribe, but her mother, Granny Moo, the leader before her, held more power and authority.
Mother, who is that man?
Chief Moo asked. A bittersweet smile appeared on her face as she responded.
Your father. What?
Chief Moo exclaimed.
At least that was my dream at one point in my life.
Granny Moo continued.
Do not ever do that again, mother. It's really bad for the heart and soul.
Once Yuan was finished with the members of the legacy families, he returned to Yaoqin's side and asked her.
Are you okay?
She nodded in a daze.
Yes, thank you.
After pondering for a moment, she retrieved a glowing blue flower from her spatial ring and extended her arms, offering it to Yuan.
This is the White Hell Frost Lotus. I'll let you have it for saving my life.
She said. Yuan glanced at the lotus and reached for it. However, instead of taking the treasure, he pushed it back toward her and said.
You risked your life for it, so keep it. While it's a decent treasure, it won't benefit me right now.
Had she given it to him before he acquired true cold harmony, it would have definitely helped a lot. Yaoqin stared at him with a flushed face, and she silently nodded her head before stowing the treasure back inside her spatial ring.
Why don't we have a private chat now that everything's calmed down?
Granny Moo said as she approached them. Yuan nodded.
Sure.
Before turning around and walking away, Granny Moo glanced at Yaoqin before throwing a necklace in her direction and said.
Wear it. It'll keep you warm in White Hell up to the 8th region. Thank you, Senior.
Yaoqin hastily bowed to her. The moment she wore the necklace, all of the coldness magically disappeared, something even the Sun Stone could not achieve. Sometime later, Yuan followed Granny Moo into one of the buildings at the settlement. Once seated, Granny Moo asked.
So what brought you to White Hell? Before that, can you tell me what your relationship with Tianjia was?
Yuan asked.
You're speaking as if you're not Tianjia. I will explain it once you answer my question.
Granny Moo sighed. Suddenly, she retrieved an appearance-altering pill and consumed it, transforming from her elderly appearance to that of a beautiful teenager with white hair and ice-blue eyes. Seeing Yuan's lack of response, she sighed again.
So, you truly don't remember anything. Then let me start from the beginning,
said Mu Hanyan.
Since ancient times, women have led the White Hell Barbarian tribe. To preserve this tradition, each leader leaves White Hell to seek out a partner, receiving his talents before returning home and raising the child alone. Since I was the last chief's daughter, I was destined to be the next leader. So I left White Hell to find a suitable partner when I was of age, and that's where I met you, Tianjia. He was outstanding and the most talented individual I have ever seen, so I decided to bring his talents to White Hell. Unfortunately, Tianjia did not seem to like the idea of me going after him merely for his genes, so he refused. However, even though he already refused my request, I still decided to follow him, and I was even prepared to never return to White Hell for him. As you can see, that did not happen, mostly because Tianjia vanished like a ghost.
Yuan had many questions after hearing her story, but he couldn't help but ask this one.
What if the chief child turns out to be male?
Mu Hanyan shook her head and said.
That's not possible. We can only give birth to females. Huh, but what about the other barbarians? There were many men in the tribe. We may be from the same tribe, but the leaders have a different bloodline, and our bloodline only gives birth to females.
She calmly explained. After a moment of silence, Mu Hanyan spoke.
Now that I have explained my relationship with Tianjia, shouldn't it be your turn to explain? If you're not Tianjia, Who the hell are you?
From her tone and the look in her eyes, Yuan could tell Mu Hanyan wasn't lying, that she truly cared about Tianjia.
I am Tianjia, and not at the same time.
Yuan said.
I died and reincarnated.
He gave a simple yet clear explanation. The room fell silent again.
How'd you die?
Mu Hanyan asked.
I don't remember. I have yet to recall all of my memories, hence why I don't have memories of you, either. Makes sense.
Mu Hanyan sighed.
Well, now that you're back, why don't you fulfill my old request, and give me your seeds?
Yuan raised his eyebrows, but before he could respond, she continued.
I'm just joking. We are only allowed to have one child in our lifetime. Anyway, what are you doing in White Hell?
She then asked.
I'm here to train my cold immunity. I have achieved true cold harmony thanks to your daughter, but it seems like it can still be improved on.
Mu Hanyan stared at him with wide eyes, and she asked him after a moment of stunned silence.
How long has it been since your reincarnation? I stopped paying attention long ago, but it hasn't been 100 years yet.
He calmly answered.
Not even 100 years ago, and you've already achieved true cold harmony. You're as ridiculous, if not even more ridiculous than before.
She exclaimed. 2164 Mu Hanyan's request.
You know, I've only just achieved true cold harmony after cultivating for tens of millions of years.
Mu Hanyan sighed.
Unfortunately, I might not be able to achieve the next realm so quickly.
Hearing his words, Mu Hanyan fell silent for a moment before speaking.
If you want fast progress, I may know a place where you can further improve your cold harmony. Really?
Yuan's eyes lit up with excitement.
Where is it? It's where I was training before I was disturbed by your appearance.
She said.
That said, it's not a place accessible by strangers. In fact, it's only accessible by the chiefs of our tribe. Despite our relationship, I cannot let you enter it so easily.
Yuan smiled and replied.
Since you brought it up, then there's a way for me to train there, right? Otherwise, why even bother telling me about it? You're right. There's a way.
Mu Hanyan leaned forward and continued with a mysterious smile.
If you agree to fulfill one of my requests, I'll let you train in there. Considering that you've achieved true cold harmony in such a short time, I'm willing to wager that you'll achieve the next realm in another 50 years. What's the request?
Yuan asked.
I'll tell you later, but you must make a decision now. Don't worry, it won't be anything unreasonable.
She said, reassuring him.
You're not going to tell me to impregnate your granddaughter, are you?
Yuan looked at her with a skeptical look.
If so, I'll have to decline.
Mu Hanyan stared at him with wide eyes and a dumbfounded expression.
Ha ha!
She suddenly burst out laughing.
So you caught on, huh? Fine, I won't ask you to impregnate anyone.
Yuan was speechless.
But you still won't tell me your request now. Nope.
Yuan sighed, falling silent as he pondered her offer. He had no idea what kind of place Mu Hanyan referred to, but one thing was clear, if he wished to evolve his physique, he first needed to advance his true cold harmony. And if he pursued it through normal means, it would take him at least 100 years. Moreover, even though Mu Hanyan predicted that he could achieve it within 50 years, he had a feeling that he would be able to do so even faster than her prediction. After a long moment of silence, Yuan nodded his head in a defeated manner.
All right, you win. I'll accept your request, as long as it doesn't involve me impregnating anyone. Then it's a deal.
Sometime later, Yuan and Mu Hanyan left the building. When she saw Yuan leaving, Yao Qin, who had been waiting outside, approached him and asked.
If you don't mind me asking, how much longer do you intend to stay in White Hell? If possible, I'd like to stay with you until you leave. I can't give you an exact time, but I plan to train here for several more years.
Yuan said.
I don't mind if you wait, but you won't be able to follow me to where I'll be going. I see.
Yao Qin fell quiet for a moment before nodding.
Then I'll keep training here, if they don't mind, and if I finish before you return, I'll leave on my own. I plan to consume the White Hell Frost Lotus, so it'll take several years.
Yuan looked at Mu Hanyan and asked.
You wouldn't mind letting her train here for a bit, do you? Who is she to you anyway?
She asked, glaring at Yao Qin with slightly narrowed eyes.
She was in trouble, chased by the 3 I killed, and I helped her. So you're a savior, huh? Why am I not surprised? You've always gone out of your way to help those in need. Whatever. As long as she doesn't cause any trouble, I don't mind.
Mu Hanyan said.
Thank you.
Yao Qin bowed to her.
Thank you, senior. I promise I won't cause any trouble. I will also return the necklace when I am done.
Mu Hanyan pointed at a certain building and said.
You can use that place to train.
Yao Qin didn't linger and immediately went inside the building to begin her cultivation.
When do you want to start your training?
Mu Hanyan asked Yuan shortly later.
Right now.
She nodded and said.
Follow me.
Chief Moo noticed where Mu Hanyan was bringing Yuan and blocked them.
Wait a second. Mother, don't tell me you're gonna let a stranger enter that place, which is only meant for us. That's against our tradition. Nothing is eternal. It's for a good cause.
She calmly replied.
That doesn't make any sense.
Mu Hanyan narrowed her eyes at Chief Moo and asked in a cold voice.
Are you questioning my decision? You must think you're above me now after taking my position a mere 1,000 years ago, huh? That's...
Chief Moo clenched her fists in frustration, but she held her tongue. Even as the tribe's chief, her fear of her mother was still deeply rooted in her heart.
Also, he's not the only one I'm going to break tradition for.
Mu Hanyan suddenly continued.
What do you mean?
Chief Moo questioned with a puzzled face. Mu Hanyan turned to look at the fur-robed figure in the distance and beckoned her.
Come over here, Shiulian. You don't mean...
Chief Moo swallowed nervously.
What is it, grandmother? You're on the verge of reaching cold harmony, correct? Even though you're not the chief yet, I'll make an exception and allow you special permission to enter Shiva's hell. Really?
The fur-robed woman cried out, her tone overflowing with joy and disbelief. Mu Hanyan nodded and turned to face Yuan.
If I'm going to make exceptions, I might as well do it for 2 people. Also, it's a pain in the ass to open the training area, so you'll be training with my granddaughter, Mu Shiulian. I don't mind.
Yuan calmly nodded.
Follow me.
Mu Hanyan began flying toward the 8th region with Yuan and Mu Shiulian following behind. Although Chief Moo no longer stopped them, she still decided to follow them. 2165 Shiva. After leaving the White Hell Barbarian tribe's settlement, Mu Hanyan brought Yuan and Mu Shiulian into the 8th region. Of course, Chief Moo followed behind.
How are you feeling? Can you handle the cold here?
Mu Hanyan asked, her head turned toward Yuan.
It's a bit chilly, but it feels good.
He calmly nodded. After achieving true cold harmony, the 7th region's chill no longer fazed him. To Yuan, the once lethal cold now felt like nothing more than a refreshing breeze against his skin. As for the 8th region, it felt no more than a morning chill at the end of summer.
Good, because we'll be heading to the core of White Hell, Shiva's heart,
said Mu Hanyan. Hearing the name Shiva twice now, Yuan couldn't help but ask.
What's with this Shiva? This is the 2nd time you've mentioned this name now. It's the name of our guardian spirit, or something along that line. They've been protecting our tribe ever since we moved into White Hell. No, you can even say that it's because of Shiva that we can live within White Hell.
She explained.
A guardian spirit? So it's a beast?
Yuan asked, raising an eyebrow.
I don't know. That's just what our ancestors called them, though no one has ever actually seen them.
Mu Hanyan admitted with a shake of her head.
What? You've never even seen them? Then how do you communicate with them, or even know they exist?
Yuan pressed.
Oh, we communicate,
she said firmly.
Though we've never seen them, they speak with us through voice transmissions.
A doubtful look appeared on Yuan's face as he said.
Sorry if this offends you, but are you sure it's not a scam? How dare you insult our guardian spirit?
Chief Moo angrily shouted.
I'll rip your tongue out.
Mu Hanyan burst into laughter.
I knew you'd say that, but they've been with us since ancient times, and in all that time, they've never asked for anything. On the contrary, they've granted us powerful cultivation techniques and unique physiques. Why would a deceiver give so much and for so long? I guess it doesn't make sense.
Yuan mumbled. Some time later, they reached the end of the 8th region and stood before the entrance to the 9th.
What is this place?
Yuan muttered, swallowing nervously. This was nothing like the snowy wasteland he expected of White Hell. Before him stretched not ice or snow, but a field of white and blue flowers, and the 9th region was so small that Yuan could see its far edge clearly with his divine sense.
Are we still in White Hell?
Yuan had to ask. Mu Hanyan smiled and said.
Don't let the peaceful and warm appearance fool you. If you don't have a special physique, my physique, not even a cultivation god could linger in this place without being frozen. Don't tell me this is the training area?
Yuan remarked.
No, this isn't the training ground. Do you see that glacial tree in the center?
Mu Hanyan asked, her gaze fixed on the massive, crystal-like tree that stood there, resembling a towering structure of pure ice. Yuan nodded.
Ido, it's impossible to miss. Your destination, Shiva's hell, is there.
Yuan used his divine sense to look around the crystal tree, and sure enough, there was a sealed gate on the ground right before it that seemed to lead underground. Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly upon seeing this gate, almost as if he recognized it.
So, how am I supposed to get there, when even a cultivation god isn't safe in there?
Yuan asked a moment later.
That's why I brought my granddaughter here with you,
said Mu Hanyan as she turned to look at Mu Shiulian, who was calmly standing beside her.
There's a reason why only the leader of the White Hell Barbarian tribe is allowed entry, because only we have the physique capable of entering. That doesn't explain anything about my predicament.
Yuan said.
It's quite simple. You just need to enter while holding hands with my granddaughter.
Yuan became speechless. After a moment of silence, he spoke.
You serious?
Mu Hanyan stared at his face for another moment before responding in a serious tone.
No, I'm just joking.
Before Yuan could even respond, she retrieved a necklace that was similar to the one she gave Yao Qin and said.
You can enter as long as you're wearing this.
Yuan accepted the necklace in silence, but he couldn't help but wonder if she always had such a character.
All right, let's go.
The next moment, Mu Hanyan led the way and entered the 9th region. Mu Xiulian and Chief Moo followed her without hesitation. The moment Yuan stepped into the 9th region, a chilling sensation coursed through him, making his entire body tremble. What is this feeling? He couldn't describe it. It was cold and hot at once, and the chill itself felt different, unnatural, otherworldly. On top of that, his instincts screamed danger, warning him not to take another step forward. However, Yuan gritted his teeth and endured the sensation as he forced himself to proceed. When they reached the sealed gate, Mu Hanyan suddenly produced a dagger whose blade looked as though it had been forged from the same crystal as the tree. Without hesitation, she drove it into her palm, the blade piercing clean through her hand. She then scattered her blood across the sealed entrance. Moments later, the barrier shifted and parted, revealing a staircase descending into the abyss below.
Go ahead. We won't follow you inside,
Mu Hanyan said. Mu Xiulian immediately began descending the staircase, and Yuan followed behind. Once their figures disappeared into the darkness, the entrance sealed itself again.
Mother, can you tell me the real reason you allowed him to enter Shiva's hell?
Chief Moo suddenly asked as she stared at Mu Hanyan.
Don't even bother lying to me. I know you better than anyone else in this world.
After a moment of silence, Mu Hanyan responded in a calm voice.
You're right. It wasn't our relationship that made me break our tradition.